In today's video, I'm going to teach you guys some tips for collecting comics. What's up, my fellow nerds and geeks of YouTube, and welcome back to another episode of Nerd Stuff with Nate G. So, are you new to collecting comics? Are you an avid collector? Or have you been collecting for a long time, but you've taken a break and you need a bit of a refresher? In this video, I'm going to go over some tips for collecting and storing comic books, especially if you're starting out on your comic book journey. So if you're ready, let's get started. So, for the first tip, you guys need to choose what character you want to start reading first. It could be Superman, it could be Spider-Man, Batman, Thor, Ghost Rider. It could be any of those characters. But you need to start with one and slowly branch your way out to other characters. For the second tip, after you've decided what character you want to read first, you need to decide what your tastes are when it comes to your comic book experience. What I mean by that? For example, I like a balance of action and story. For example of that, take a 4-issue miniseries called Megatron Origin when IDW Comics had the license to make Transformers comics. In this series, we start out with a bot called D16 working in a mine all day long, every single day, which leads into events where D16 becomes the tyrannical Megatron. That's my example. So, for the third tip, after you've decided what character you want to read about and you've decided what your tastes or your reading experience is, you need to go to a comic book store and talk to the shop clerk or the shop owner. Tell them what you're looking for, tell them what character you are wanting to read about, and more than likely they'll be happy to help you. And that's all I got for collecting comics, but we'll get into storage next. So after you've done everything that I just previously mentioned, from figuring out what character you want to read about first, to figuring out what you want your comic book reading experience to be, and actually visiting a comic book shop, then you will also need these comic book bags, comic book boards, and a comic book box. So, when it comes to these comic book bags, you can get them in two different form factors. You can get them with a resealable piece of film on the back of, I don't know how well that's coming across, but there's a sticky film right here on the bag, and all you do is just fold this little flap over and it's not coming open until you decide to open it. But you can also get comic book bags that are not resealable, and you need to keep them shut with something like Scotch tape. Next thing you'll need, obviously, are your comic book boards. These are what helps to keep your comics flat when you keep them in a comic book box. There are two different sides to this comic book board. I don't know how well that's coming across on camera, but there's a reflective side and a non-reflective side. So when you are putting a comic onto the comic book board, the reflective side is what has to be facing the comic. So I'll show you guys what I'm talking about when it comes to storing your comics in bags with boards. So what I like to do, since I prefer using resealable bags over non-resealable bags, I like to put the board into the bag first. Sometimes they don't like to cooperate. Okay, so after I get the bag or the board into the bag, then I will take the comic that I'm trying to store, in this case Dark Knights of Steel issue 2, and then I will just slide the book onto the board like this, and then at the same time I'll press the bag, I'll press the board and the comic down into the bag, and now it's in there. So all I have to do is push the little flap down onto the resealable sticky film, and then it is all good to go. But when it comes to non-resealable bags, it's the same process, but you need Scotch tape for it, and that's why I don't like using the non-resealable ones. Next thing you'll need when it comes to collecting and storing comics is your comic book box. Now this is a short box which can hold on average 150 to 175 comics. But there are longer boxes that can hold on average of 300 comics in one box. But if I had to recommend which size to get, the smaller box or the larger box, I'd have to say the smaller comic book box, just because they take up less space, and I'm not buying comics all the time. They do cost a lot of money after all. So with all of that out of the way, you guys, I have one more thing I would like to share with you. It's a bit of a neat trick once you figure it out, but if you need to, you can rewatch this section of the video a couple of times just for the explanation. So on most, if not all, modern age comics, and what I mean by modern age comics, it's the current age or era of comics that started back in 1985. 1985 to everything coming off the printers today. And like I said, most if not all apply to this trick. So on modern comics, as you can see, there are two barcodes. This bigger barcode here is for purchasing purposes only, but this smaller barcode with a 5-digit number above it is what we'll use for this trick. And this 5-digit number can give us plenty of information about the comic. It can tell us what issue the comic is if we can't find the issue number on the comic. It can tell us whether the art on the cover of the comic is the original art or if it's a variant art. And it can tell us whether or not the comic is a first edition print or if it's a second, third, fourth, fifth, etc. edition print. Let me explain. So the first 3 digits here on this 5-digit number, 002, the first 3 digits tells us what issue the comic is. And if I bring it up to focus on the camera, you can see it says Marvel issue 2 for Captain Marvel. And if you look at the first three digits of the comic again, 002, that's what the issue is, and it matches up with the issue number up there in the corner. The fourth digit right there, if it is a 1, if the fourth digit is a 1, that means it is an original art cover. If it's any other number other than a 1, it is what's considered an alternate variant art. Meaning if you say have a 2 as the fourth digit in the 5-digit number, this is not the cover that you'll have on this copy of Captain Marvel issue 2. I will give you guys another example here in a minute. And then the final digit, if it is a 1, if the final digit is a 1, then it means it's a first edition print. If the number is not a 1 in the 5th digit of the 5-digit number, then it is not a first edition print. It could be a 2nd edition, 3rd edition, 4th edition print. But sometimes, depending on the comic, the secondary, the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th prints can sometimes be worth more than the first edition print. Now for that second example, for an alternate variant cover or versus original art cover, this is Batman 3 Jokers Book 2. I want you guys to take a second, if you need to, pause the video. I want you guys to guess whether this is a variant art or if it's the original art. I'll give you guys a second. If you guys said it's a variant art, you would be correct, because the 4th digit on the number is a 7, meaning it is not an original art. And I'll put a picture right up here of the original art. Well, anyway, you guys, that's all I had in this video. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like the video, dislike it. I will not hold that against you. We are all entitled to our own opinions. I firmly believe in that, and I will always believe in that. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. I would love to have you here as we build a community of nerds and geeks who all share a common passion in pop culture. And if you know anyone that is interested in this content, please let them know and share this video with them. Well, until next time, my friends, till all are one, and may the force be with you always. Bye, guys.